What is up, everybody? Welcome back to Mograph Summit number 50, the anime electricity effect inside Adobe After Effects. I am moderately surprised I even made it to Summit number 50 because I am moderately lazy. So this in itself is a feat, and today we're going to be playing around with a really fun effect that you can do so much more than the anime electricity effect. You can do like kind of fire looking effect and also some molecule cell things. So I think it's really fun to play around with. Check out this super short video and you'll kind of see what we'll be making today. And it's not nearly as hard as you might think, which is wonderful because, like I said, we're all moderately lazy. Well, maybe not all of us. I'm only speaking for myself. So anyway, let's go ahead, jump into After Effects and get this rolling. I got After Effects CC 2014. I also have a new composition that is 1920 by 1080, which is just awesome. So this effect is super easy to pull off, and basically what we're going to be doing is, well, let's create a shape layer here. I'm just going to go with the nice and basic circle to start, and that is going to be the base for our animation. So basically, let's go ahead just in our timeline and maybe center this up and set a keyframe for our position. If I can press the right key right here. So I'm going to do a keyframe on position. We'll set a keyframe on scale and also for rotation. If you did not know, you can hold shift and press RS or P to pop up that property, which is nice if you already have something selected. So anyway, let's go ahead and just get a quick little animation going. I'm just going to drag the circle up here, and wow, it comes on screen. It's looking pretty sweet. Why don't we set some little keyframes on our scale and rotation? Just drag on those keyframes. All right, we are in the middle here. Why don't we unconstrain our scale properties and just have a little fun and just start making the shape look kind of stupid, because that is how lightning's made. So anyway, we're just going to drag this on over here, maybe spin it around and maybe squash it like it just got, I don't know, hit by lightning, even though it's lightning. I'm not sure where I'm going with that one. So anyway, let's go drag it up maybe over here. We'll make our arc a little bit more interesting, I suppose. Maybe spin around our egg lightning and scale it up just to get some more interest in there. Maybe halfway through our rotation, we'll tweak our keyframes just a touch, maybe make it skinny. And in this keyframe over here, let's see what we can do. It's really, it really doesn't matter, this portion. We're just trying to get a little bit of animation happening. So this looks really wonderful. This is something I would not show anyone normally. So luckily we'll be doing a little bit more to it to make it kind of interesting. Maybe set some more keyframes on our scale and rotation, and just on this ending we are just going to do something so exciting. We are going to make it into a kind of off-centered circle and maybe spin it a little bit, and that is pretty dang nice. So I'll just set a keyframe in here and play around with my properties, maybe make this portion a little bit longer, and then we'll just grab our properties and you can just do something with the keyframes. I'm using my motion script, but you can also just set normal keyframes if you're cool. So there we go. We got this pretty interesting animation. It's got a little pause and break or whatever in there. Maybe down at the end I'll just like scale it down a little bit to something like that, and that looks pretty sweet. Anyway, so this is going to be our egg lightning effect, and luckily we'll be taking this a little bit farther because I don't think anybody would want to know how to make that. So anyway, what we're going to do is now add a really easy effect that is kind of the trick to this whole animation, and it's the turbulent displace effect. I just typed that into my effects and presets, and what we're going to do is actually drop this onto our egg lightning, which I guess I should name. So now that we got our egg lightning all named, this turbulent displace effect has actually made our egg look kind of funny, and when we crank up these effects we'll get some different variations. So that is kind of fun. As you can see, you can do a lot, and we'll play around with a couple of these settings to get this all together. But what we're going to do is, as you can see as this plays, our egg is actually going to kind of wobble around and get a little bit more character to it, and kind of as a fun effect. As you can see, we're going to have a lot of different things you can do with this quite easily. So what we're going to do is just kind of maybe center it in the screen so we can see what's going on. And let's go ahead and just turn up our amount in our turbulent displace a little bit more. Maybe let's go to like 79 because that is a pretty cool number. Let's keep our size at 100, and the trick to this is actually in the complexity where we're going to make our wiggles or displacement just a little bit higher. So why don't we put this to maybe like 2.6, somewhere in there. And also, if you have a good computer, you can turn your anti-aliasing on for best quality, better than low, so it's not going to look as junky, but I'll keep it nice and low because I like that junky look. So as you can see, we're now getting all this very complex kind of wiggle, and you can't even tell that we animated an egg behind all this effect. So that's fun, and as you can see, it's looking all right. But what we're going to do, it's not really moving around enough. Like as you can see, when you drag this, it's actually going to animate and get some character. But what we're going to want to do is hold Alt and click our evolution and add a really simple expression called times, if I can find the asterisk key, times time, let's call it 140. And so what this is doing is just multiplying the time up here by 140, and that's changing our evolution property. So that means even if it just sat still, it would animate and just change around a little bit more. So what we're doing is adding character to our animation with pretty minimal amount of work, which is great. So anyway, why don't we go ahead and grab a glow. Actually, let's grab a fill effect, which is also one of my favorite effects because it makes changing colors so much easier than clicking up in here and grabbing and going into this extra panel to grab the eyedropper tool when you can just do it right here in your effects and presets. So let's go ahead and pick a color that is kind of like lightning. So why don't we go with a nice light blue, nice baby blue, and also grab the glow effect, which is also a wonderful effect. That can make very spacey looking stuff. So what we're going to do is turn up our glow threshold a little bit and maybe our glow radius until we get a nice little glow around here. And our glow intensity, why don't we just turn this up a little bit as well. So what we're starting to do is get this very, I don't know if I want to call it awesome effect, but we're getting something that looks kind of interesting. Somewhere between a ghost and a blob or egg, if you've watched this video. So this is looking cool, and now what we're going to do is just maybe make this look a little bit more interesting since this is a very one-dimensional animation. So let's grab our egg lightning layer and duplicate this, Command D, and then what we're going to do is pre-compose this layer. So do Shift Command C, pre-compose this, and let's call this egg lightning accents. And what this is going to do is we're going to add a second layer to this animation. So since the turbulent displace property is somewhat random, we're going to want to pre-compose it so we can keep the same motion path. So what we're going to do is go and grab another turbulent displace effect. And what we're going to do is drop this effect right onto our egg lightning accents. And as you can see, if I zoom in here, we're already starting to get a kind of secondary property to our animation. So let's go into our displacement, and like I said, there's a bunch of stuff to choose from, and they're kind of fun. I would click through them and see what effects you like, but what we're going to do is go with the bulge smoother effect. And we'll turn up our amount just maybe a little bit here. Let's go to maybe, let's go 72, because that's fun. And we'll turn up our amount, or our size actually on this one, which is the size of our turbulent displacement just a little bit. And let's go ahead and start playing around with our complexity. So this is where we're going to start to get that secondary look. So I'm going to go ahead, and as you can see, we're already starting to get a very cool effect. Let's go up and crank this to maybe 4.5. And so now we're getting this kind of secondary displacement on top of our original. So this is now kind of like a ghost or a firestorm. I don't know. At this point, I'm just saying words that mean nothing. So why don't we go ahead and add another time expression onto our evolution here, and we'll just stack this effect. So let's say time times whatever we're feeling. Why don't we go with 133? And now we're going to get a pretty complex looking animation with not a lot of effort. So that's fun. Let's go ahead and grab our two favorite effects. First, our fill, and we're going to add maybe let's call this probably not red. That doesn't look like lightning. Let's go ahead and crank this up to like a bluish, brightish blue, just some other kind of blue. I'm not sure what we're actually going to want to go with here. That looks fine, another baby blue. And then we'll once again grab our glow effect and stack that on our previous one in our pre-composition right in here. So what we're going to do now is get this ghosty looking thing, and let's turn our glow radius up maybe a touch and our threshold just a little bit as well. So why don't we go ahead and just take a little preview here and see what's going on with our animation. We're starting to get kind of a smoky lightning effect, and it looks kind of cool. We might want to go ahead and tweak some settings and really start bringing this effect together to get that lightning look. Now there's no guarantee I'm going to get this look, which is I guess a bad thing to say for this video, but there's a lot of settings you can kind of play around with and get a lot of different looks. So I'm just going to try to get something a little bit more lightning-y. Maybe I'll just keep it down. We'll just keep adding to this and see what we get. How about that? So anyway, we have a kind of fire lightning. I probably should have made our egg a little bit thinner instead of so fat for all these sections, and that probably would have helped this effect. So what we're going to do now is duplicate our egg accent lightning. I'll actually drag over this so we can see. And what we're going to do is just change our complexity on this layer, and we'll also change our amount. So now what we've done is stack a secondary effect behind our first one. So it looks like the glow on these two egg accent layers is a little bit high. So why don't we just turn this down a little bit and maybe make it a little bit more subtle, so since we have stacked that effect, it's not doing too much. So now we have this kind of fiery looking, well, it's supposed to be lightning, but I guess we're going to go with a fire effect. And why don't we change our fill color on this second egg lightning layer, so the bottom one, and maybe make it kind of darkish blue. So now we're getting a I don't know, I guess this kind of looks like a Harry Potter fire, so why don't we switch the name of this video here. But you can definitely get a lightning effect. That's how I did the little ninja animation in the beginning, and it's starting to look kind of interesting. So what you can keep doing to kind of get this lightning looking effect is grab this original egg lightning layer and duplicate it, and why don't we drag it to the bottom here and just change our color to a white. And what we're going to do with this effect is actually add some extra properties. So as you can see in our animation, every time the layer hits, what we're going to do is add kind of like a lightning crack. So as we're coming into this keyframe, why don't we go ahead and set a keyframe on our amount and also our complexity. So now what we're going to do here is press U to see your new keyframes, and we're going to go forward in time to it's kind of leaving its little spot here and set 2 more keyframes. And what we're going to do is go in the middle and just really turn up our complexity and see what we're starting to get. As you can see, it's very small, so why don't we just turn up our amount, and it should start to kind of go out here. I might have to turn up our amount. So as you can see, now we're starting to get kind of like a lightning crack, and since this is animated, we're going to come into this effect and, well, let's see here. We might have to scale up our amount a little bit more. You might have to go totally nuts. I'm going up to about 1,400 here. And when it hits, it's kind of going to crack out and keep going to these different spots. So I'll just grab these keyframes and make them easy ease, and now when it hits, we're going to get a little crack and it's going to move, and I can just go ahead and copy and paste these keyframes every time it hits if I want. So I guess I'll paste it down at the end here and just drag it so it's kind of making sense, and we're starting to get a very interesting lightning effect. So what you can do is drag out these keyframes a little bit more and just try to, you can tweak this as much as you want. I don't want to bore you guys with this long video. So you can just duplicate this egg lightning effect even more and get a really crazy glow until it looks kind of jumbled and messy like what I did. But I hope you guys can kind of see what you can do with this effect. You can get this nice kind of lightning crack effect, and it could look really, really awesome. So the fun thing with this is, since you're stacking all these lightning layers, you could import any kind of animation. So if I still have this little ninja dude, I'll just grab him and drop him into this composition real quick and just make him into this little shape layer, maybe scale him up So we can see this wonderful character, which is not very good at all. And what we can do is just set him in the middle of all these things. So what we're going to do is just put his anchor point or positional data on the same spot as our moving egg. So with your ninja selected, why don't we press P for our position? And what we're going to do with our egg lightning is press P or A for the anchor point, and we're going to hold Alt and click our positional data and just drag our pick whip onto our anchor point, and our little guy should pop up. Looks like he did not. Let's see here. He's supposed to pop up into our thing. Why don't we go ahead, since I've messed all this up, and actually grab our egg lightning and use our position, I think is actually what we wanted. So where is this guy? Okay, so now he's in there. Don't use the anchor point, use the position. I hope that was not confusing. So yeah, you're gonna pick whip your positional ninja outline or whatever your object is onto the position of one of your lightning layers. So I might go ahead and just move this up so he's a little bit more visible and kind of sitting behind everything. But now you can see the lightning almost looks like it wraps around him. I might actually have to scale this dude up a little bit so we can really see. But that's the nice thing about having this kind of layered, is as we go through it, you're kind of getting this lightning effect that looks like it's right behind him. And if you ever do need to position him a little bit better, you can go ahead and mess with your anchor point, and that's I think what I meant to say in the beginning, and reposition him till it makes sense, or whatever your object is. So anyway, I hope that kind of makes sense for you, and I think it looks pretty cool for this this kind of effect. Obviously he's kind of hidden behind the lightning, real ninja style. But I think it's kind of cool, and as you can see, it's a fun, very anime-looking effect that was pretty dang easy to do. So let's go ahead and I'll just show you a couple other fun uses for this effect. So if I delete my ninja, we're back to this original egg lightning effect, or whatever you want to call it. And what we're going to do is just grab everything. And actually don't grab everything. Let's create an adjustment layer just over the top. And why don't we grab what's called a simple choker. And what that's going to do is smooth everything on our scene together. So I'm going to turn this choke map up to maybe like 31. And as you can see, our glow's kind of gone. And we're starting to get kind of a rounded object that you can't really discern what it is, but it almost looks like some kind of molecule. So why don't we take that a little bit farther and grab a colorama, which is a really great effect I recommend playing around with, and dropping this onto our object, and we're starting to get a crazy color scheme. If you go into your output cycle and use your preset palette, why don't we go down to the Caribbean effect, and we're getting a very molecule-y looking complex animation that looks very cellular. So I don't know what you can do with this necessarily, or what what project this might be fun to use, but it's a really fun effect. And what you can do then is copy this and put it into a pre-comp and just call this like cell 1, duplicate that and make your top mode into like soft light or something. And what you can do is just stagger this layer. So now we're kind of getting like a jelly look or something to it. But yeah, this was just another one of those things I like kind of was playing around with and found, and I thought it looked kind of interesting. You know, it looks very I don't know, fun or whatever you guys want to do with it. So that is the first portion of this. And additionally, what you can do is easily create fire. We're just going to go ahead and create another little circle here. I'll make it nice and red. And what we're going to do is just real quick repeat our effects. So we'll grab our turbulent displace, drop it onto our shape layer, and maybe turn up our amount immediately, and also our complexity until we're getting something kind of fiery like this. And why don't we grab our glow and drop this onto our layer, and then we'll also grab a fill effect because that kind of multiplies the glow. I'm not sure why exactly, but when I drop it on there, it'll just be easier for us. So I will do something like this, and we are going to go ahead and crank up our glow effect, our glow radius, and our glow intensity, and then we'll go and set a quick expression onto our evolution of our turbulent displacement, and I'm going to call it 130 here. And so now we're not even going to have to move this around, but we're starting to get a very fiery looking effect. So if we duplicate this layer and make our color maybe like a yellow, you're kind of starting to see this fire effect. And what you can do is turn your complexity up a little bit, And you can also turn your amount up a little bit. And now we're kind of getting this very cool looking organic fire effect. And you can just keep stacking this as much as you want. You can even stagger this layer here, go and switch it to some other effect, and then maybe set this behind here. You can set this to white. I don't know, at this point I'm just kind of clicking around. Maybe set this to add, and it should start to really pop here. So I'll put this over top everything, maybe turn our opacity down, turn up our complexity again. You can just have so much fun with this. I really like this effect. It might not be the coolest thing in the world, but it's really fun to play around with. So this actually, that last one was just no good. But as you can see, pretty easy way to create some cool fire, very anime looking, cartoony. And I hope you guys had fun with this video. That's really all it is. It's a fun effect, lightning, fire, cells, molecules, whatever you want. It's very organic, it's very fun. Thanks for checking out the channel, and I will keep the videos coming as soon as I come back from my brother's wedding. So anyway guys, thanks again, and I will catch you all later. Get your learn on. Peace out.